two writers, one just starting out, the other a bestseller. Join James Blatch and Mark Dawson and their amazing guests as they discuss how you can make a living telling stories. There's never been a better time to be a writer.
Hello and welcome to the Self-Publishing Formula podcast with James and Mark, the third edition from the new studio for Self-Publishing Formula, and we have a special guest in the studio if you're watching on YouTube. Actually, if you're listening, you may hear some snuffling.
That's John.
Yeah, that's John. If you're watching, we have in the Blatch household a gorgeous puppy, and I thought, well, we have to bring, this is Pandora, Dora the Explorer, onto the podcast. She's so sleepy. I think she wants to go to sleep. Do you want to go to sleep? She does. You can hear a little snuffling on audio and you can see her on the YouTube channel. This will drive people to the YouTube channel. She's our beautiful little Labrador.
If that doesn't work, John's taking his clothes off.
Yeah.
We tried that before.
Right, sweetheart. Anyway, let's move on to more serious things, and I shall let Dora go and have a little sleep in a moment. Welcome along. We're going to be talking Booksprout. I love the name. That's a great name for a service, isn't it, Mark? Oh,
I don't love it, actually.
Don't you?
No, I don't. I don't know what sprouts have to do with the books. Whether the books are sprouting or...
Well...
Don't know. We have to ask Chris that.
Well, we do ask Chris that. And Chris Leippi, it's his brainchild and his service. And it's an interesting concept. I think it's something you're going to find useful. I'm going to hand over to Chris in a moment and let Dora have a sleep. And when Chris has spoken, we'll come back and have a chat with you.
I grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan here for most of my life. Eventually, I went off to university in the city close by. I started getting the desire to travel after that. Did some work experience programs in the west coast of Canada. Then eventually I went out to Australia for a student exchange. Following that, I started working in the government work, doing IT stuff. Got kind of bored. Eventually discovered self-publishing. Started writing books, started making money to live off of, and then eventually I started Booksprout to start getting rid of some of the automation problems that I was running into.
Okay, well, you said very quickly there that you started writing books and then started making money from it. So just give us a little bit of background of that. I mean, what sort of books are you writing, and how did you get going to the point where you could live off it?
Well, these ones are actually erotica books. So this was back in 2013 when they were when nobody really knew that you could make a pile of money at them. Before Kindle Unlimited kind of changed the market completely and everything. So it took off really quickly for me. And yeah.
And I think I read in your notes that you then moved over to romance from erotica, or are you still doing a bit of both, or is it erotic romance?
It's mostly erotic romance now. So since Kindle Unlimited changed the game completely, I had to move over to something else because it's tough to make the same kind of money as you were before. And, the writing is my main bread and butter at the moment while I get Booksprout kickstarted. So you still need money to eat and stuff, so that's what I was doing.
Yes, you do. Okay, good. Well, let's move on then. So you said that you had some issues with some of the automation side of things, and you started to think, obviously you had this brief background working in IT and the government, so you started to think about ways of making the job easier. So what were the resistance points you were meeting that you thought you could solve?
So the big one when I transitioned into the longer form romance type books was the ARC programs that you'd have to run. So if you want to hit the top charts, you got to start giving people review copies. They got to leave reviews for you on the launch day and stuff like that. So these are important, obviously, to instill reader trust and everything. So I found it quite time consuming because the way I was doing it is I'd have a huge spreadsheet of my ARC team, 200 to 300 members or whatever it was at the time. I would send them all an email blast, say, hey, do you want this latest book? Here's the cover, the blurb, all that stuff. If you want it, reply to me and I'll send it to you. I did it that way because I didn't want my ARC team to turn into a free book service. I didn't want there to be a bunch of people sitting on there getting all my books for free just because they joined the team. So I wanted to hold them somewhat accountable. So as soon as they would reply asking for the book, I would attach it individually to each email, and I would send it off to them. Then I would mark in my spreadsheet that they took it. Obviously, as you can imagine, doing this with like 200 people, that takes quite an amount of time, and it's very repetitive. So those are basically the good points to automate, really. Repetitive and tedious things can be automated quite easily. So that's what I did. Um, then on every successive arc, how I used to do it was I would just look at who took a book and who didn't review, or like give me a reason why they couldn't. I like to be lenient, so if they give a good reason, like they had I don't know, their dog was sick or something, that's fine, really. Just something to keep me in touch. Um, so if they didn't tell me why they couldn't review the book, or if they didn't review the book, I wouldn't send them any further arcs. But now Booksprout does that automatically for me. So readers, they download the book through Booksprout. They leave their review in Booksprout. They provide an Amazon review URL in Booksprout, or they can cancel like their review promise right in Booksprout.
Okay, so
Then next time,
before we go into some of the details about Booksprout, so just explain what this is. Is this an app, or is it a website you log into, or how does it work?
It's actually both at the moment. There is an app. It's not for the ARC thing yet. The ARCs are completely on the website. I want to get them into the app, obviously, eventually. But yeah, things take a little time, and I thought it was better to launch it on the website, refine the process and stuff before putting it into the app as well. So yeah, right now the ARC is just on the website.
Okay, so Booksprout, and we'll come on to the sort of business side of things, but once you're a member of Booksprout, you upload your ARC team to that, and then what options have you got? How do you actually manage them?
Actually, how it works is you sign up for Booksprout, you add a book, you give like the details like the blurb and stuff like that. Then you create an ARC for it. You tell us where you want the reviews, when you want the reviews by, and then after you create the ARC, we give you a link to that ARC. It can either be private or public, depending on your needs as an author. Then this link, you can share it with your team. They just come, they can create an account, get the ARC, and then it's all in there from there on.
That sounds really cool. I mean, genuinely, I can see straight away how useful that would be, particularly as authors get busier. I suppose, the first book, we're all kind of happy to do things by hand. It's that personal touch. It's second, third, fourth book, and Mark's case, gazillionth book, where I think some sort of automation, could be a bit of a lifesaver. So you got this up and running when? How long's it been going?
The ARC Assistant, it's been up for 8 months now, I think. Or I don't even remember when I launched that. I started really promoting it, though, in June, actually, of this year.
Okay, so quite recently.
Yeah, I was focused the first few months on it. I was doing just kind of beta testing with a few authors, a few bigger authors there in there. Our teams of like 200 people, just to make sure everything's working, fixing all the little bugs and stuff. Because you don't want to launch to a whole pile of people and get like 600 ARC reviewers in there right away, and discover, like what I did was that the emails they would send, like I sent I think 10 emails to each ARC reviewer, so for the same thing. Because there was too many of them on one of the teams, and it caused an error, so it didn't know that it sent them before.
Okay.
But yeah, all that type of stuff is cleared up.
The beta testing. So from a member of the ARC team's perspective, what does it look like?
There's a demo I can send to you later if you want to take a quick run through it. But basically what it is you get the link that the author sends you. It shows you the book cover, it shows you the book blurb, and the genres that it's in. Then if you like the sounds of it and you want to participate in that ARC, you can click the Get This ARC button. Takes you to the download page where you can choose to send it to your Kindle. You can download it directly from the website, or you can send it to your email. Then after that, you get the book, you read it, you can leave your review right away, right in the Booksprout website. then when the book goes live, the author will enter like the Amazon URL.
So
So then you can just
on that first email that delivers the book, there's also the link to leave the review and so on. Does
Yep.
the system automatically chase people up? Does it know when they've left a review?
it keeps track of who's left a review, who hasn't, and on which websites. So what it does is once the author has the book published, it sends everybody a reminder email who hasn't already reviewed the book. Then it follows up again 2 days later.
Yeah, I really love this. It sounds like a really cool way of doing things. How much does it cost?
Right now, it depends on how many ARC reviewers you have on your team. So I'm keeping the pricing pretty low right now to get word of mouth kickstarted. It's $10 a month if you have less than 50 reviewers on your team, and it's $20 a month for unlimited reviewers. There's also a free plan too if you have less than 20.
Okay, so a very small team. And do you sign up for a period of time during a launch and then not let that subscription lapse until your next launch, or do you have to keep it going the whole time? How does that work?
No, it's up to the author. Like you can obviously cancel or resubscribe at any point if you want. It's better for me obviously if you keep the subscription going, but that's for the big authors or the prolific authors, I should say, the ones that are writing, one per month. They got the subscription, they just leave it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're only releasing every 4 months, just subscribe for a month, run your arc, unsubscribe right after. That's fine.
Yeah, so there is an option for people, particularly if they're just starting out and really looking at keeping costs low. And then you and they will both be delighted when it doesn't really matter to them that they keep the subscription going, because they're doing bigger business, and $10 a month is it's a coffee and a half at some of the places I drink coffee at. Great. I mean, love it. I mean, I love the idea of it. It sounds simple, an elegant solution to what is a workaday problem for indie authors. And I know, we've talked ARC right from the beginning, but we haven't really explained what that is. And I am conscious that not everybody understands all the lingo and the way that you and I and Mark talk about running your indie publishing world. But we're talking about an advanced reader. What does the C stand for, actually?
Copies is what I've always used for it.
Advanced reader copies. An advanced reader team, and I know lots of authors absolutely swear by them, not just, as you said, in terms of getting visibility for your book and getting a good launch, but actually in shaping the book. And we've got a first-time author, Andrew Turpin, who lives quite close to me here in the UK, and he's just posting on our Facebook groups at the moment about finally getting his book, The Last Nazi, published, and he's fantastically got into one of the Amazon charts. So well done to Andrew. All excited to see him having picked up the 101 course and followed that through. But I noticed that he mentioned how important the advanced reader team was for him in shaping the book, and the last part of that in feeding back on stuff. So, I mean, that's the general gist of it. I mean, your experience, obviously you are a user of advanced reader teams, so just explain to us how it's affected your writing and business.
Actually, for me, it was mostly about the publicity on launch day. I really liked having the reviews to say like, hey, this person said like this about the book. It gives really good social proof as well when you got 80 or 100 reviews on your book. But one thing I've noticed lately is that people are leaving their reviews early for me. So if there's like typos or the color of somebody's eyes change or something like that, I can just go back and fix that before I actually publish. So it has started to shape my books as I mature in my writing and everything like that.
Yeah, really useful. Have you used them right from the beginning? I mean, when you started, you say you started before KU, when there was a bit of an explosion of particularly of erotica, because I guess there was the whole Kindle thing, wasn't it? It was sitting on a train rather than sitting there with a big book and a very obvious picture on the front cover of what you're reading. The Kindle made it possible to be a bit more discreet about what you're reading. And I think that was probably the starting point for the growth in that area. At that point, did you right from the beginning work this stuff out about using advanced reader teams?
No, at the beginning, I was actually lucky with my computer background. I was able to figure out the Amazon keywords thing. So back then, it was not really known very well. So not many people knew how to do the keywords properly. A lot of people would just leave them blank. but they were like the most important thing in my whole publishing process. So I was able to leverage those, and I didn't need the ARC teams until I moved to longer form books.
Okay. And you got going and then started to work out one or two of these other sort of techniques in the area. And then you say KU changed the nature of the business for you. I mean, in terms of your author business, has that taken a big hit you haven't recovered from? Are you still making money and living off your writing?
Well, to be honest, I kind of took it back to pre-KU levels before KU even happened. But the first iteration of KU was a really big gold mine for those of us in the erotica area, because people were just borrowing the books like crazy, and you'd get $2 for each borrow. So that was fantastic. But obviously Amazon saw that there was a problem there and they fixed it. So that didn't last too long.
No, that was a shame for you. So where are you now?
I am sitting at around a livable income. Me and my girlfriend, we still travel and everything, so I'm still able to support myself on it. I'm not living, the go down to the restaurant and drink a glass of wine or something every night type thing anymore. But I am comfortable enough to be keeping doing it, I guess.
But here you are now with another business venture on the side, which is increasingly what we do see quite a lot of authors do, and they, particularly if they've got some kind of expertise in the background, such as IT, and they think they can make life easier for each other. It's one of the things actually I love about the community, is that people like you see a problem and think, well, actually there's a synergy there, because I can start a little service that might bring me in some money and help other people with their jobs and with their careers, and that's great. So we've talked about the advanced reader team, and I think it's a really important area, probably one that we could pick up and just do a single podcast on at some point in the future. I'm glad we've covered it in some detail today, but I think you're probably thinking a bit broader than that as well for your app and the website.
Yeah, there's a few different features on it. Two of the major ones are the app. So as of right now, there wasn't really any way for authors to get like mobile notifications without forking out, $10,000 or something. The other guy that you guys had on the podcast is trying to bring that price down as well. But the Booksprout app comes in for the authors who don't want to fork out any money on an app and don't want to take the time to regularly put out content for the app. Because, if you don't keep people engaged in an app, it's just taking up space on the phone and it's going to go, bye-bye. It's going to get uninstalled. So by having a bunch of authors in one app, people are less likely to uninstall it. They're more likely to keep it. You can still send the same push notifications whenever you release a book, have a deal. It's completely free, the app. I decided to keep it that way because it just didn't make sense to charge for it while it's still in its really big infancy. And I would actually really like to keep it that way. I don't plan to charge for the app to send messages to your followers because, well, it made everybody upset when Facebook made that you got to pay to reach people who actually like you. It kind of seems stupid, eh? So I want to keep that free. But yeah, let's authors finally send some push notifications for their books to their fans.
Okay. So how can people get started?
That one's you just sign up on booksprout.co, create your author profile, you add a pen name in the back, you add a book you want to create a promo for, and then you create a promo when you are running a 99-cent or free or really any promo. If you're doing any kind of a push on a book, you can add it in there. Then the more people that view your book, the more it gets discovered in the Discover section. So right now, I'll be honest, it's mostly the romance, erotic romance type readers in there. So if you're in that genre, it can probably be of some benefit to you. There's not a lot of other genre authors who have picked it up yet. I would like to see that start happening, obviously. But just for full transparency, I don't want people to jump in there and get disappointed that it didn't help them at all. So yeah, you'll get a few extra views and a few extra clicks on your book for no charge at all. Sure.
Well, I guess it's early days, so you will expand the genres, I'm sure. And in terms of Booksprout, I mean, so that's, how have you divided this up? Is it a single subscription that covers all the services, so the advanced reader control group and so on?
Yeah. So right now it's just the 20 or 10 or $3 a month. You just pay that. Everything is included. The free plan includes the app. You just can't run like 2 promotions on a single day. That's the main limitation of that. So if you're just a new author, this isn't going to affect you. But as you get bigger, you might want to run a few promotions on the same book. And then, yeah, it's also got the giveaway feature in there as well. So everything is bundled into one price.
Okay. Great. Well, intriguing that you've set this up, and we'll be very interested to get some feedback from our listeners, the ones who have taken this up. I can imagine there are people who do it. I mean, it's one of those things I think people do in different ways. Some people have spreadsheets, some people do it through MailChimp and their segmented groups and so on, their mailing list. But
yeah, definitely.
I think one of the great things about this is this automatically chasing people up who haven't posted reviews yet. I mean, that's got to increase your chances of getting reviews, because a lot of people may well have good intentions when they take the book to do a review, but it's a prompting down the line that's actually going to bring the review out of them.
Yeah, actually, I noticed my own review rate increase from around 50 to 60% when I was doing it myself to about 80, 83. So that's the average that all authors are getting on the Booksprout.
Wow, well that makes perfect sense to me. I can imagine that happening. Great. Well, Chris, it's been really good to talk to you. We don't talk to many male authors who write erotica and erotic romance. I'm sure you're out there, but
oh, we are. There's a ton of us.
Yeah, but the ones who end up on the podcast that we meet tend to be female writers of that genre, and it's a successful, bountiful genre. We've got several people on our, who've bought courses from SPF or have come onto the podcast, and I know make very good livings from it. So, and I'm pleased to hear it's still going well despite some of the challenges that have been thrown at you.
Yep.
Great. Chris, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Just give us a final plug for the website and how people can get there and where they need to go to have a look at this.
Sure. So the ARC assistant, we talked about it. So that's basically just manage your ARC team. You can be hands-off, do your ARCs in 10 minutes. There's the app, which you can go in there, send push notifications. Apple and Google have done a good job of making those pretty urgent, so people are going to check them. They're going to look at your book right away. Then there's the giveaways. We didn't really talk about that too much, but readers, when they sign up to your newsletter or follow you in the app, you can choose whatever you want. They can choose any book they want from you in exchange for their email or whatever. Yeah, it's free if you're just an author starting out, $10 a month if you're kind of a mid-ranged author, and $20 a month if you're doing pretty good. You can find me at booksprout.co. I can personally be reached at chris@booksprout.co. I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Chris, it's been brilliant to have you on. We had a couple of technicals that you heroically got over right at the beginning of this, so thank you for that. And yeah, good luck with the venture. What a great idea.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on, and thank you for having me.
Chris Leippi, yeah. So that's another example, isn't it, Mark, of people who are authors who work in the community, or it is a community, the wider community of self-published authors, who just think, do you know what, this would be useful. I'm just going to do it. And so Chris has got off his backside, and he has created a service. I mean, the advanced reader team is an important part. Oh, he's opened the door in the middle of our... I thought that was a strange noise there. John Dyer's made a magical appearance without the puppy. The advanced reader teams are an important part for most self-published authors. I'm guessing quite a few don't use them at all, but a lot of people do. We talked about them before, and not only are they very useful in marketing terms, they can be useful editorial terms in shaping your book, and the all-important launch sequence. So to have a way of managing that, and I loved the automation aspect of it. I loved the little prompts that members of the team get if they haven't read the book, they haven't clicked on the link and downloaded it. And suddenly, as Chris said, he was seeing, instead of a sort of 30 or 40% take up of people reading his book, that was doubling. And that's only going to add value to your book, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, Chris emailed me originally to see if I was interested, and I actually wasn't. And I do think it's a good service, and Chris obviously knows what he's doing. He's put together a really nice product. But philosophically, I approach my advanced team in a very laissez-faire, hands-off fashion. So I give them the book, and then really, if they want to review it, that's great. It's a bonus. If they want to buy it when it comes out, that's a second bonus. But I don't. I'm not one of these authors who will remove people from the team if they haven't left a review. I kind of feel that that's slightly not really what the deal is for me. I don't like to put obligations on like that. But, horses for courses. There are plenty of other authors who do it the other way around and will be fairly ruthless about culling those teams to take people out who don't leave reviews. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
No. And you don't have to do that with Chris's service, but it gives you the data you need if you do want to do some culling.
It does. And just this is just from me. I'm not. I love stats, and I love that. I'm pretty big on numbers and spreadsheets and things like that. But when it comes to the relationship between me and effectively my super fans, I personally don't want to reduce that down to statistics. It just doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't work for me. But I do think it is a really good tool. Allowing things like mobile notifications is a really good idea to cut through lost emails and stuff like that. So it's a really good tool. I definitely recommend people look at it. It won't be for everyone, and it's not personally for me. But that's not to say that it wouldn't be for plenty of other authors out there.
Okay. All right, thanks, Mark, and good luck to Chris. We'll see how that develops in the future. You heard the address in the interview, but if you just Google Booksprout, you will get to the site if that's something that you want to have a look at. I mean, I have to say, from where I'm sitting, it's a little bit ahead of me, but I like the idea of it. I like the idea of having a system that's going to control the advanced reader team for me. So I think it's going to be horses for courses, and I think some people will really like it. And as you say, some people, like yourself, Mark, have a slightly different approach to it. But good luck, Chris, and he's a good guy, and he's entrepreneurial, which we like as well. He's done that with his approach to writing as well as his approach to this latest service. Now, we like entrepreneurial people, and we like them to be well equipped, and that's why we have a series of books available to you, you dear SPF listener. And we've got, we talked about editing maxims last week. We've got something called The Vault, which is a collection of these podcasts. I mean, that covers every subject under the sun to do with self-publishing, including some great author interviews. But tactical advice on things like social media, advertising and organic social media, tactical advice on book cover design and so on. And all of that is in text form, so it's searchable and you can reference it and search for it in your own time. And if you want a copy of that book, it is at selfpublishingformula.com/vault, VAULT, the sort of thing you were forced to jump over as a child in gym at school. Is that a vault, or is that spelled differently? Everyone's looking confused.
You vault over something. You vault over a box. It's not called a vault.
It's called a horse, isn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Is it called a horse?
Yeah.
You vault over the horse.
It's a verb, isn't it?
You shouldn't pommel a horse. I mean, that's we've had. This is an animal-friendly environment.
Say we started with puppies. We're ending with horses.
This is a safe space. Is Pandora back in her little cage? Is she happy? Good. John Dyer's falling. I'm going to definitely have to search you on the way out today, because there's a decent chance he's going to take Dora with him. I hope you enjoyed a little appearance from Pandora. Thank you very much indeed for listening. We'll speak to you again next week.
You've been listening to the Self-Publishing Formula podcast. Visit us at selfpublishingformula.com for more information, show notes, and links on today's topics. You can also sign up for our free video series on using Facebook ads to grow your mailing list. If you've enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes. We'll see you next time.